on the moon.
Hey guys, welcome to Three Brown Women, where three brown women are here to give you the real, the what, and the why of the everyday life of a woman. I'm Salome.
I'm Reese.
Yay!
And I'm
Yeah.
moving because I'm tired and I had a very long day. Me too.
Me too. So I have a confession to make. I better make this confession now before you guys see the last episode. I forgot to put claps in. I've been so freaking busy, and I need, Reese, I need your organization skills. Because I literally forgot to put, the claps and snaps in. So this time I'm not going to forget, guaranteed.
Okay. It's okay.
You know what? It's me always working and, helping other people with their businesses, and then I get to my stuff and I'm like, I wouldn't have forgot if it was somebody else's, but I guess that is working on it, working progress.
Yep. I deal with the same thing. It's crazy because I was actually talking to a client today as the therapist, and she made the joke that it's funny that therapists find it hard to take their own advice. So
I believe that.
Yeah, that's true. So it's not the same thing, because I know me in some areas I am unorganized, but I will keep my clients on point and they're not missing a beat. But for me, I'm missing a few of those beats. So it's not just you, Sloan. Okay. I think it's a lot of LDS.
Yeah. So, Chrissy, we love your shirt. Let's talk about this T-shirt that you're sporting right now.
T-shirt I'm sporting right now today, guys, is this little Empire State of Mind shirt that I picked up from Fashion Nova. Woo! Yeah.
And so,
I picked up a few little long sleeve graphic. I guess you would consider these graphic tees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love them. I'm kind of trying to get into the old school T-shirt look. So the 90s movies and TLC shirts and stuff like that. It's relaxing. It's cute. You can dress them up sometimes, dress it down. It could be chic if you want it to be. Right now I'm just chilling, so it's loungewear. But if I wanted to throw some boots on or something with it, and then just wear some little shorts, I probably could. You just never know.
Tip 101.
I love the fall.
Definitely. So, you guys, we were talking about this whole issue of, perception and colorism last time, and I know, Christine, you were talking about, how people thought about you in, high school and just, the whole shebang. So let's get into that, because that's a really good topic. Not only is it just a really good topic, it's stuff that's happening today, especially with I'm even gonna take it there. If you think about the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that we're pushing for right now, there's still things that we actually have to deal with in our own communities, and that is colorism. So it's not something that we can leave out, because we have to start with us, right?
Yeah. I think I didn't, sometimes you don't know that you're in it when you're dealing with it. For me, a lot of my younger years, when I dealt with it, I really didn't correlate it to my skin color. Looking in hindsight, I kind of can realize why I was treated certain ways, or why people assume certain things about me, because I wasn't, I was bubbly and talkative with people I'm comfortable with, but not just with everyone. I would be kind of closed off. A lot when I was younger, I would stick to my same group of friends and just leave it at that. And so they would assume that I'm stuck up, or, certain ways of how I would sit if I sat with my legs crossed, things like that. But I think it does come down to how people perceive you, and the first thing that they do see sometimes, a lot of people, whether they admit it or not, is the color of your skin. And some people move in that right too, based on that. So you have people who will automatically, they say, the black man who get on the elevator with the white little lady or something, and she might clutch her purse a little bit tighter because he got on the elevator, and this man might be going to go go to an interview or go to a job or go see his kids, go mind his, just live his life, and he will get offended easily. But and he couldn't have done anything but just the color of his skin did it, you know. So it's out here, but it's very prevalent to me among women for some reason in our Black culture. It's into a competitive thing sometimes too. And then it kind of stands in the way of us having friendships with one another and having that camaraderie as Black women too, because we're looking at the skin color, we're assuming because she may be too light, because that's the typical one, right? Where it's like, oh, she's so light skinned, she probably got bad attitude, or she probably, don't want to be bothered, she's stuck up, she, bougie, whatever you want to call it. That's the stigma with light skin, and then dark skinned women or brown skinned women, that's what you refer to them as well. I looked at as you have bad attitude just right off the rip. You always gonna have a problem with something. Always gonna curse somebody out. Or, you have patience, like crazy stuff like that, when a lot of times I'm like all the time I'm the complete opposite. So, but people will assume that she about to snap. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah, definitely.
And what are your thoughts, though, about, like, colorism and how the first thing that we run to is like Black women, right? So like darker skinned women. What about the men? Like, do you feel that men experience colorism as well? And in what way?
Yes. Well, yes, I definitely think that they do. Even like that was like a little era that we had where it was just like, light skinned men were in. They wanted the light skinned dudes that was like that genuine era. I ain't gonna even lie, that was the genuine. And then we ended up having an era where it was just like, everybody was into the dark skinned dudes, and it switches back and forth like these eras with these guys, and I think that they experience the same thing that we do. But I think also women are a little bit more emotional about it than men, because we are women, you know what I'm saying? And we have more than, not saying that men that don't have a lot of things to like worry about when it comes to stereotypes or biases, but we have to worry about the complexion of our skin, we have to worry about the sizes of our bodies, we have to worry about what we are wearing. Like, it's a little bit more emotional to me in my perception, and I'm not a dude, so I cannot say 100%, but I feel like that women are more emotional about it because we have more things to carry on, and we are taught to be competitive from the start. Like, female that's not taught to be competitive, whether you don't have to have somebody sitting there in your face talking about you need to compete against her, but when you're in class, you know what I'm saying, they have, oh, she's the prettiest girl in the class, or she's this or she's that, you know what I'm saying, like it's always a competition with women, and so to deal with that on top of everything else, I think that it's just it's like an emotional roller coaster. Even when we don't want to think about it, it is it's there. It's there. Period.
And I was looking up a few statistics on this earlier, but it is proven that lighter skinned people, not just men, but men and women, they have better mental and physical health, right? Also, they experience fewer negative experiences within a judicial system and with, in police interactions and things like that. And not even just that, like they say, it's also a statistic that lighter skinned individuals, like they have less, like they're treated less harshly in the school system. So it's definitely a real thing. I don't know. It's just interesting because I can't say that I feel, I guess, like the effects of colorism. I know that it exists, but I don't know if I've been slighted because of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So I hear what you're saying too, and like, okay, so with me, I'm light skinned, right? But I'm light skinned because my dad was really light skinned. Like my mom is dark skinned. So for me growing up, like I know that I've been like favorited in so many situations because I'm lighter complected. Um, but I always wanted to have, like, I would look at my mom, like, all the time and just be like, oh, my God, like, I wish I was a little darker. You know what I'm saying? But I've also been, you know, like, I don't want to say punished, but I've also been teased. Like, my little sister was dark skinned. I remember one time we were in school, and I think I was in, like, 5th grade, and she was in, like, 2nd grade, and I was tying her shoe because her shoestring came loose or whatever. And so I'm sitting there tying her shoe, and this kid in the school comes up, and he's like, why are you tying her shoe? And I'm like, that's my little sister. I'm tying her shoe. And he's like, no, that's not your little sister. He's like, because you're white and she's black. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I remember those type of experiences, or, like, you know, just being kind of, like, outcast from my family because I was the lightest person growing up.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just, you know, it's crazy because we say that there's prejudices, and there are prejudices, but light skin don't always get the better hand of the stick. Like, you know, we don't always get that better side of the stick because we get teased too. That's just like me. Okay, I'm light skinned, but I wear blonde hair. So then, like, is it okay for people like, oh, you trying to look white? No.
Right.
You know, I just saw that whole thing with Ayesha Curry.
I did.
Who is this white woman on my Instagram? Like, she's entitled to wear blonde hair, and I actually wish that more black women will wear whatever hair color they want. It don't have to be fine, but stop making it seem like because a black woman wears it, like we're trying to be something different than what we are, because
we're not.
you know, it's just it's crazy.
I think, like, for her, too, the part that was so irrational to me was it's her skin color. She can't try a different hair color because of her skin color? Like,
exactly.
She can't control that. I don't think she went and got blonde hair color and was like, you know, I want blonde hair because I want to look like this white woman I saw. She got blonde because she wanted to try a different color, and clearly it's probably a color she's never tried before. It looked amazing on her. I didn't even understand, like, all the backlash. I was like, are you guys getting mad because of how she was born, the color of her skin? And that right there just shows you how crazy the world is, society is, and how ingrained colorism is in the community, period, and in the world. Because I feel like because it's so ingrained in our culture, it's oozed out to everybody, treating everybody with the same type of standards. I feel like I don't know, I've just always been a firm believer, like, if people do better by their own people, then other people will have to at some point follow suit. But because it's so ingrained in our families and in our, like you said, Salome, like, you were teased. It wasn't a pleasant experience for you to be light skinned, and, you know, people saying, oh, that can't be your sister, you white. Like, to me, that would make me feel some type of way as a child being called white when I know I'm an African-American girl. Like, why would I be different from what you would say the rest of my family is? What type of feeling is that to give a child? And I never even looked at it in that way, because then there's also families that are made up of mostly darker-skinned people, and they might have that one high yellow cousin or that one high yellow, you know, little brother or sister, and they are probably looked at like, you think, I've seen it to where they be like, oh, don't nobody mess with him. She, they think they, you know, and it's like, they couldn't help how they were born, but that's in your family, you deal with that. So if you deal with your family, I feel like don't you guys think that it kind of starts to mold us? Like, that's why it's so continual in our culture, so because it's molding people to have either darker people that maybe even have thicker skin, some light-skinned people that have thicker skin, some light-skinned people to walk through life like, I don't know what you guys mean. I've never had to deal with that, because they never had to deal with it. That wasn't their struggle. And some dark-skinned people just be angry all the time because they had to deal with it all the time. So it's like, it's sad. It's sad. It's like, where can you put a stop to it? Like, who can put a stop to it? The only thing I can think of is like, well, maybe if we treat each other a little bit better, you know what I mean? Maybe I don't compete with the old girl because she light skinned and I feel like I can't go talk to her or be like, hey, my name's Chrissy. You know what I mean? There's just situations where in a call center job I had a light skinned pretty girl started working and a lot of people talked about that girl like a dog on the street. First started, and I remember I didn't even talk to her because I listened to everybody else. I was like, I heard she got a bad attitude. I heard this and that. And there was one day on the weekend we had to sit with each other because we had to change seats. And I sat right next to her, and something just convicted me to say something to her. And I said something to her. She ended up being a very nice person. And I was honest with her. I said, I didn't talk to you at first because I listened to everything that I heard. And I judged you, and I apologized to her for that because it wasn't fair, and that was my first lesson there for me to move forward differently because that opened my eyes to be like, so why are they so mean about this girl? Why are they saying all this mean stuff? Well, all she did was come to work, do her job, and dress nice. Okay. It could be the fact that she's a light-skinned girl, nice body, dress nice, doesn't ha-ha and everyone, because she's probably used to having to come in and just come and do her job and leave because of situations like that. So now being perceived as, ooh, she got to don't talk to her, when really she's one of the sweetest people to this day. I still keep in contact with her. And I think, but there's so many people who aren't like me and who wouldn't take that step to be like, hey, let me see about you for myself before I just.
Exactly.
And that's the sad part, and that's why the cycle just keeps going and going.
Yeah. So for the both of you, could you say that you've had an insecurity stemming from your skin color, that you've developed insecurity?
Yeah, I do. I definitely have. When it came to when I first started, actually speaking in front of people, and especially if it was a group of us, African American people, I would be like, I think, do they think I'm smart? You know what I'm saying? Or do they think I'm just up here because I got it because I'm light skinned? You know what I'm saying? Are they gonna accept me as skin? It's you have those thoughts that are gonna come through your head because you wondering what kind of, what's their perception of me? You know what I'm saying? I know that people have thought of me this way, so what are they gonna think? Even with me doing different colors to my hair, for a while, I had moments in my life where I was really, 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 really confident. I'll do this color, this color, this color. You know what I'm saying? Then I had moments in my life where okay, I'm not gonna do too much because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to be this or I'm trying to be that. You know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, thank God I'm at the moment where it's just look, I don't give a, you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna do what I want to do, and however you think about it, that's how you think. I'm hoping I'm breaking barriers for other girls to let them know that they can do whatever they want to do, regardless of what they look like or what people thought about them. But absolutely, it's definitely, I can't see how you can become an adult and go through experiences like that and it does not shape you, because when we're children, we're fearless until we are taught fear. As an adult, we become more conscious because that fear is instilled in us. So for somebody to say it didn't affect them, to me it's impossible.
I think it impacted me to a certain extent. I think I'm at the place now where I'm realizing the difference, so it doesn't impact me, but it did impact me being a teenager and just going through teenager stuff, and then a guy you're dating saying that he would want to take a light-skinned, thick girl to prom. Or and he's asked you to prom, and then by the time prom comes around, some way, somehow, he's at prom with a light-skinned, thick girl. But I was at prom. Go ahead, you can take it. So, and then having to deal with you dating her afterwards and seeing you with the light-skinned, thick girl that you left her, and then knowing and you or hearing that your mom said, oh, okay, I'll have pretty grandbabies now because you're with a light-skinned girl. So I think that I was sitting here thinking, I was like, well, did it impact me? It has to have impacted me. I was a young teenage girl.
Yeah.
This was my boyfriend for an extended period of time. Of course, by the prom, he was back looking, oh, you're so beautiful. I made some work mistakes, blah, blah, blah. But it was still like I had to endure like 2-3 months of you preparing to go to prom with another girl, every day seeing you guys in the hallway together. I was getting teased by her friends because it was like they were rubbing it in my face that he was with her now. It was an ordeal for me, and I ended up going to prom with like just a friend last minute because I wasn't enough. He literally called me and said to me, she said if I break up with my prom date, she will break up with her so we can go together. That's what he called me and told me. Mind you, I thought we were going to prom together. And I remember all I did, I just cried and I said, you go ahead and do you. And I just hung up the phone, and he ended up going to prom with her. So then he got his photo op with her. He got his light-skinned, thick girl. That's when
all of this happened.
By the time prom came around, he was looking at me like a big puppy dog that lost his best friend. And it's like, can you come with me after prom? And the end of the night ended with her tearing up her prom dress off in the middle of the street because she was upset that he was with me and chasing after me and left her behind. But I went through that whole ordeal, and it was like, it was a little vindicating feeling at the end, like, you're right. You know what I mean? But it was like, no, because I feel like you still got what you wanted in the end, too. You wanted a light skin. That was your picture in your head as a young black man. This is the picture I want for prom, is me to have a light-skinned, thick girl. Not at the time. I was skinny little girl, petite girl, brown-skinned girl. I didn't have booty. I didn't have big boobs. I didn't have none of that. And she was one of them girls who had thighs and butt. She was, shapely girl. So, that played on my mind for a minute, like, oh, my God, if I saw a light-skinned, thick girl, I just automatically wouldn't even want to come around. Like, I wouldn't want to stand next to you. Like, nope, he's definitely not going to talk to me if you around. It played on my mind with men for a minute. I would think that I wouldn't have chances with guys that I really didn't have chances with, and I would always be so shocked when guys would approach me in certain arenas because it'll be like, you don't talk to me? Like, you don't see that thin girl over there, you don't see that thick girl over there, you don't see, And I had to finally realize, and that all comes with loving yourself some more and kind of reflecting and not allowing other people to help, mold how you look at yourself. But it took a lot of affirmations to this day. But you got to be in the mirror like, you are beautiful. Okay, but nobody say, even if nobody told you were. But sometimes it's like your mind is like because of things you've been through. So you be having to wake up in the morning and be like, okay, I feel ugly, but I'm not gonna be ugly all day. Let's change this around. What can I do for myself, or what can I throw on, or what can I do for myself today to switch this scenario around? Because honestly, I think it all starts within. A lot of insecurities can be, they can be worked on if we just try to just focus within and love ourselves a little bit more. I think a lot of people, like those people that did me that way in high school, that made fun of me, and that even the guy that dumped me for the light-skinned girl, they didn't love themselves, so they just was spewing out whatever they didn't have on to me, and I sucked it up like a sponge and didn't love myself. So it's just a lot of people not knowing how to love themselves and not how to move, and we were young teenagers. He probably looking at all the rappers, and that's how those were the songs back then. All you saw in the music videos was thick light-skinned girls. You wasn't really dark-skinned girls getting swapped out. They wasn't really, you might, in the gutter videos, you might see some dark-skinned girls where they getting real, but in a cute, classy, fly chick, it was always light-skinned. She didn't have to be thick, just light-skinned. So I think I dealt with that. But now, nah, I'll be like, oh, you think she's well, if that's what you think, but I think I look better than her. And I hear you saying better for her. That don't make sense. I remember we actually took a guy really quick. Another story in high school, and Sheree, I know you remember this story too. This guy named his name. I don't know if I say his name. Begins with the R. And we were all friends. And I remember one of my good friends, Leslie, at the time, me, and I don't know if it was someone else, but we took him. He was a black man that was fixed to believe that any light-skinned girl, no matter how big, how little, no matter what her face, like what her characteristics were, was a pretty girl. And he said all black dark-skinned girls weren't. He said every light-skinned girl was better than dark-skinned girl. Every light-skinned girl. I remember we took him to one of the like little areas where it's a lot of little like I guess like ghetto ratchet girls or whatever. And we pointed out this light-skinned girl who literally had this much hair. She had one of those ponytails where it had like the little fans. Sticking out. She was real skin, like really bony, like really. It was not. She wasn't an attractive girl. I don't like to talk about people, but we pointed her out on purpose just to see what he was saying. He said, "Yeah, she's beautiful."
Oh wow.
Gorgeous brown-skinned girl. He's like, I wouldn't date her. Any light-skinned girl, he said, was pretty. He said, I don't care what she like, as long as she likes it. And we literally went on a tour after school just to try to open his mind up and be like, there's a pretty dark-skinned girl right here. Do you not see this? He was so brainwashed. It was insane. And I think those two things opened my eyes so wide to colorism because I was like, oh my God, are you crazy? Like,
yeah, that is crazy.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, undeniable dark-skinned, beautiful women. He was like, no, she up.
Yeah. It's even men now, like in 30s and the 40s, that will still to this day say, "Oh, I will only date dark-skinned women," or "Oh, I will only date light-skinned women."
I don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Beauty is beauty.
Yeah. I think for a personal preference, like everybody has their personal preference of what they are attracted to. Yeah. But don't bash or make it seem like, don't make it seem like because that's your personal preference that you just have the best. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. Tell your spouse that you are the best for me, but don't make your preference try to seem like it is the preference for everybody.
Right.
Oh, I only light-skinned dudes, or I only date dark-skinned dudes. Don't make it seem like I have the best because mine is dark-skinned. Just, okay, I prefer dark-skinned dudes. Like, that's enough. You know what I'm saying? It's say that, I don't, you are, somebody of the opposite complexion is less significant because they are, not your type or not your preference. To me, that's to try to vocalize it and make it seem like you just have like the better option because of what you are attracted to. That is where the issue comes in at. Everybody has their idea of what they're attracted to. Like, that's just what it is. Like, obviously you can't, there's no way to get around that because attraction comes from what appeals to you.
Right.
Going to appeal to you, but don't make it seem like your preference is dominant to compared to other people's preferences or other people's differences in that case.
So then let's say that let's say for me, right? Let's say that if I were to say I prefer to date darker skinned men, okay? Like, I understand that the premise behind, like, everybody has eyeballs. People have eyeballs, right? And then, if you are visually attracted to something more than the other, like, that's okay. But do you think that preference, though, is birthed from colorism, and we are, like, executing that subconsciously, by having this preference? Or do you think it's as simple as, this is just my preference. I just would rather date a darker skinned guy.
Right, or like where you molded be based on experiences.
Right.
To have
or do you think that?
Okay, yeah, hell yeah. Like, okay, so that is, I think that everybody, like, whatever you're attracted to, there has to have been, I'm not going to say probably, there's something in your life that caused you to have that attraction. Either it is because you are intrigued because it is the opposite of what you are, or you are feeling similarities because it is the same of what you are.
Okay.
So I think that plays a big role of attraction, whether it is sexual attraction, whether it is just, you know, mysterious-like attraction, or you just thinking that, you know, your life experiences, that's what it comes from that. It can't come from nothing else. Like,
yeah, you're right.
What else? You're not born. You know, you don't come out, you pop out, you know, and be like,
unless like the media, right? Like when I think, okay, so with my preferences, right? Like I tend to prefer to date darker skinned men, and I'm not even with a darker skinned man.
Yeah.
I just prefer it. But what I think about is like on TV when they take this hair out in the sweat and the way it looks. You know what I'm saying? I don't think about, oh, well, when I was 12 or 13, it's the darker skinned boys that treat. I don't. It's just what I see, and it just looks better to me. And
right.
You know.
But at the end of the day, like, it's still something that you recognize, something that you notice, whether it happened later on in life. But I mean, those type of thoughts, that probably came from high school. Because, you know, like when you're younger and you're looking at those movies and y'all, you know, you with your girls and y'all just talking about it, you're like, you know, it comes from something. It comes from.
Look at those pretty white teeth.
I know.
Them smells.
She's talking about some sweat dripping off.
Me and Chris were in a car one day, and we were driving, and it was just, it could have been a scene in a movie salon. It was this guy, he worked at UPS. He was getting off the truck. He was darker skinned with this big smile. Oh, girl, he had the bottom.
I have never had a moment in my life.
I feel you. I'm gonna knock my drink over. Y'all gonna make me knock my drink over.
We stopped. She stopped. We stopped the car. I was like, wait a minute, what the? I felt like a nigga. I mean, a guy. I'm sorry. I felt like a guy. Because I was like, reverse the car.
Yes. And he knew it, so he looked, and then he smiled with the pat smile. What you doing, bro? Like, you know,
yeah.
It was like 5 years ago.
I mean, like it's nothing wrong with you having your preference. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, everybody should have their preference, but learn how to not make it so like, oh, I you know, don't be about it. Have an understanding.
Yeah.
Express it. Don't brag about it or boast about it like, you know, somebody else is missing out on something because of what you
right. To piggyback off that too, I would say don't be so closed-minded with it either, because just because you might like chocolate or you might like the white chocolate, you know, one day the white chocolate that you usually like, the dark chocolate, might be giving you and treating you better than all the dark chocolates you ever had, and you about to pass it up because of the chocolate, the color of the chocolate.
I know.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, because I have never considered, nor can I ever see myself dating somebody outside of my race. Like, and that's another conversation. I know we got to wrap things up soon, but I don't know if you all would hit it, but I just don't think that I would be able to, and this could be my ignorance, right? Like, because I've never experienced dating somebody else outside of my race. Right? Like,
I think I probably dated every race.
I don't think I could.
You have?
I don't feel like we could relate or something. I don't know. Like,
is it fun?
I think I could date every race. I've dated Mexican. I've dated Puerto Rican. I've dated Pakistani. I have not dated anybody Oriental. Yeah.
That's the one I'm curious about.
Oriental.
I have a plug. I'll find out for you guys. Not me. My sister is dating an Asian guy. Like,
really?
Huh?
She's gonna have to give us a scoop.
Absolutely, I'm gonna get it from her, because I'm like, I need to know. But I have never dated outside of my race either. I don't know, y'all. But
you know what? It's so funny. Like one of my best friends one of my best friends, she's Armenian. And we went to high school together, and it was just so funny. Like, in high school, we would talk about this all the time. Like, all the white guys, like, we would go to the mall, and, like, the white guys would literally try to talk to me, and the black guys would try to talk to her.
Oh, wow.
I remember one time we went outside, and we were just, like, walking. We were just going, like, for a casual walk. And there was this guy behind us, walking behind us, and he was trying to holler. And girl, I was like, I could have promised it was a black guy. But I turned around, it's this white guy with like straight bald hair. You would have thought he was Nazi, but he wasn't Nazi. So, but it was just crazy because that's like, those were guys who would just like try to talk to me, like all through high school, all through like college. Like I remember coming in the classroom one time, it was like, and I was in college. It was actually my what class was that? It was not algebra. Anyways, it was a class, and I used to always bring like a pack of like the bubble gum, the bubble yum, to like I would have it in my bag all the time. And in the class, I put my purse down. I was actually late. I got up to do something. I came back to my desk, and it was like a piece of this gum sitting on top of my purse. And girl, like from the guy that was sitting next to me who was like a white guy, and he like wanted to go out with me so bad. Like I ended up going out with him like one time. He was alright, kind of cool, but just was the cards. But yeah, I probably did it every race except for Oriental. And I did have Oriental guys try to talk to me, but I did not want to talk to him. Like, and it wasn't because he was Oriental. It was just because he was kind of like bragging about the stuff that he owned. So
Yeah.
Always have. My husband is not a bragger, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a huge turnoff. So then, so it's the experience. How different is it?
Right. That's
but that's not what I'm referring to. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I dated these guys. Dating does not necessarily mean that you sleep with them. Right. Obviously.
True.
So
please let the people know.
Right.
The details for that. I'm just clearing the air right now. So, what are their differences? I don't really know. Like with the Arab guy that I was dating, well, I don't want to say Arab because he was actually Pakistani. So, yeah, because his family was like more kind of like, you know, wanting him. And we were so young, but you know, when your family expects you to be with the person that they want you to be with, in other words, like to find your wife, it was kind of like we were just having fun. You know what I'm saying? With the guy that I dated that was Mexican, like it was cool. We were young. We were having fun. His stepdad was like kind of in our business and stuff. Like he would just like show up. Like if I would see him somewhere outside, he'd be like, "Hey, mi amor," like that or whatever. But his family was real cool. You know what I'm saying? So, well, I dated like more than one Mexican, so. But I mean, both families were really cool. The white guys that I dated, those were kind of like short term. I didn't really get close to their family like that. But I know my sister dated a Jewish guy before, and his parents were kind of like not, you know, really feeling the multicultural relationship. But you know, I can't say I had like. I don't know that I really thought about, you know, at the time that we were dating, the racial boundaries, because we never really discussed that type of stuff.
Yeah. Was it because it never, like, did it just wasn't that deep? Like you guys were just having fun, or
we were just having fun? Yeah. Okay. I've never been in a relationship where like, oh, okay, let's get a house together, let's do this, let's do that.
Got it.
Okay. So, I don't know. It was just fun times, you know.
Yeah.
Just like not thinking about, and you know, with that being said, I went to like a mixed high school, you know.
Got it.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And before then, shoot, I was in Chicago, but I lived in Inglewood, and the schools that I went to were like Black and Hispanic, and for some reason, like the Hispanic guys were like more attracted to me.
Oh, I have a question for you. So, like, because you are experienced with dating outside of our race,
Hmm.
do you notice a difference in like the type of dates you were going on and the things you guys did together, the foods you guys ate? Like, did you have to
That is
try
a
certain
good
things
question.
that you would be like, ooh, I don't know if I want to try this? Especially with dating, having a Pakistan boyfriend at one point. Like, how was that? Like, did you ever have uncomfortable situations? You like, ooh, I'm not comfortable with this but it was a cultural thing for them.
That is a
To be honest, I think like the Spanish culture is like that culture that like really wants to like take you out. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go to dinner. Let's you know, they're big on like going out, going dancing. With the Pakistani guy I dated, like I honestly, it was very short term because he was doing some other stuff. He ended up going to jail. So yeah, that was thank God so over. With the guys I dated, they were pretty cool. Like, you know, it was more like chill, like hanging out with friends type of stuff.
Okay.
So I think like with like, you know, the Spanish culture is more like wine and dine type of dating.
Okay.
And you know, with the Pakistani guy was just, it was really very, very short term. You know, back then I probably dated outside my race because I was just really, really quick to like break up with somebody. Like,
you tell me that
something stupid, I'm be like, oh, it's over. You should have never said that. You know, you could end up in the friend zone real quick.
Yeah. I wish I could. It's too late now, but I wish my game was like stronger. I feel like the game is activated like 5 to 7 days before my cycle. Like I just don't be caring. Like attitude off, whatever. I got that window 5 to 7 days before my cycle, and when my cycle ends, it's like I'm back to being like the nice girl.
Yeah, like you know what? I thought about it. I was so mean to you last week. I don't know. You know what?
Do y'all feel like that? Like after you get your, like after you, cause I'm like that too. Obviously, like I'm very moody, like right before. But do y'all feel apologetic, like, or do y'all? Cause sometimes I just be like, well, he probably knew I was about to get it anyway.
Oh no. I never feel apologetic. No, because you should know.
Yeah.
The same thing happens every month, and
exactly. But is he really counting days, or you know what I'm saying? But probably not. But
I think they'll know based off of your behavior erratically, just out of nowhere. Like, dang, you real angry today.
Don't know. So he knows. He says that he can tell, like, in my mood and how I am. Like, even if I'm not snapping at him, he says that he knows. And like he's been programmed to not take things personally. Like when I'm in that window. Like the other day, I told him that he had to move out. I told him that like 2 days ago, and he didn't even respond to my text.
He's like, "What are you saying? Are you crazy?" Like,
no, he doesn't respond.
He said you need to pack all your stuff and just go.
Exactly. He like, you know.
That is a special skill of his to where he does not take stuff like that first.
No.
He didn't even respond to you.
No, man. He brought food.
So what did you do when he brought food back? Were you just like, thank you, and you just ate?
Yeah, I ate the
I would have just like, whatever, just not my face to eat.
It's like we just don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Like, you know, I know, you know, I know. We know. So just leave it there.
Yeah. And he's so good with it, let me tell you. So he's so good with it because, like, I get to that point to where I, like, feel fat and stuff. You know how you get. So he brought
everything.
Brought me some salmon with a salad. He was like, because he already knows, like, when me coming around. Now I'm about to be complaining about being fat.
Yep. I definitely agree with that. I definitely
That's dope. That's really cool. Look.
I would eat that too. I'm not at the point where I can kick anybody out. So those days are over.
Oh, it's over for me too. I just
Yeah.
know what I mean.
I think it never really started until you just said it. Like, get out. Then if you really get out, you're going to be looking like, what you doing? I'm like, why you practice?
Yeah. You know.
Oh, didn't you just say no? But today's topic was bomb. Because I think it's something that needs to be addressed. But honestly, just driving back to the colorism topic, do you guys see like any type of solution or any type of, well, maybe after a few more years of this happening, we'll be at this place? Or do you think that this is just the way it is?
I do feel like I'm noticing a shift, you know, in the right direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
camaraderie, yeah.
Yep. So, will it be eradicated? I don't know. You know, I'm not sure. But I definitely see a shift. Like 2020 and how we view women and men of different color is like different than what it was. For sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
And I definitely think nothing can ever be solved 100%. It's definitely impossible. That's just like trying to make, I guess not trying to make people believe in the same religion, but there's always going to be biases, you know what I'm saying? But you got to do the best that you can to make sure that the majority is good, the majority is positive, and the majority is educated, because that's the main thing. You have to, like, this whole colorism thing started way back in slavery, so it's not something that can be taken care of and done. And it started before then, right? When realistically we were all kissed by the sun, but then a group of people wanted to go away in the Caucasus Mountains. That's where Caucasian came from initially anyway. So then there were the, you know, where we're this because we are in the Caucasus Mountains and you guys are this, and, you know, that it all started back then, and it just perpetuated into whatever we're dealing with now. And everything that we're dealing with now, but because it started so long ago, you know, it's not going to be something that's going to be done overnight. And I do see, like, I see the younger generation being more educated about it, being more open about it, being more conversational about it, and being more upfront about it. So I think will get better. I'm positive about that. But it's a work in progress.
Yeah. I mean, I think that everything will have to align, like the people, what we watch on TV, like everything would have to align for it to be completely eradicated. And unfortunately, especially with reality TV days, well, somebody always gonna throw a glass at somebody, and the women might always fight and things like that, and it might look like a light-skinned, dark-skinned woman is fighting once again on TV. So, unfortunately, you are going to still have those, which I feel like it's always going to be the one. It's always going to be the one-off. It's always going to be some people still doing this. And if the majority of us, you know, do the right things, educate ourselves, like you said, then we definitely are moving in the right direction. And I love how 2020, it's been trash on top of trash. Like, that's 9G level 2 trillion and zillion. But, I think there's some good out of it because it's bringing a lot, like Sheree said, a lot of things to the forefront that have been on the back burner for so long and overshadowed and overlooked. Black women in particular, women in general too. That was a whole last year too with the Me Too movement, but now it's kind of zoning into the black woman because we do need a little bit more help. Not to ruffle any feathers up there, but we do because we get the same treatment as our black men do when it comes to law enforcement and being, you know, not doing anything but getting body slammed by grown men and while being pregnant and things of that nature. So, you know, you never see those type of stories out there for all women. It just typically is our women. So, you know, those type of things being put on the forefront is very, it makes it's bittersweet because the fact that we even have to talk about it and it's still going on and that it's happening to us like that still, like, it's sad, but it's sweet because it's being brought to the forefront and people are doing their research and they're doing what they can to stand up. Like I saw something where a black woman was getting harassed on a video and I think it was her husband or a boyfriend, somebody, but he came and stood up for her. He wasn't out there, but he saw how the white man was treating her, and he was like, and I guess he was to grab for her, and that's when the guy came out of nowhere. He was like, you're not going to grab her. You're not going to, there's no reason to grab you. And it's just like, if more things like that would happen out here, if there were more watchful eyes that instead of just pulling out a phone and recording it, will actually, we can outnumber them, like, don't do it's not right, then I think that it will kind of decrease a lot of people who are just so bold and blatant to do it, because it's not just me you're going to be fighting. You better hope.
Right.
My homeboys, I didn't know my homeboy is not riding bad to you treating me like this and don't hop out on you and do something. And they shouldn't feel afraid to get in trouble to do that, because you're saving someone's life versus allowing crooked law enforcement, not all of them, but some of them, to murder and brutality. So
I feel like we just kind of like, the best way to explain it is that we've been hoarding prejudices and sexism.
Yes.
At some point in time in your life, somebody has to say, you have to stop hoarding. It's time to take out the trash. And you're going to have to go through it. You're going to have to sort through so many things. And there's so many things that are going to be broken, so many things that are going to be dirty, you know, and it's going to be a lot of mess, and it's going to be things that you don't want to look at or touch or smell, but you have to in order to clean up. So I think like 2020 is the beginning of us, you know, cleaning up the hoarding, prejudices, and sexism.
I received that.
Yeah.
I received that.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
This was good, guys.
This is very good. This is very good. And this is a conversation that is very much appreciated. Although I feel like me personally, going back to the colorism, I don't feel like I felt anything, you know, like I do not feel like I can relate to the two of you. However, I appreciate hearing both of your experiences.
Yeah.
Because it just lets you know it's out there.
Right.
Yeah. It happens to anybody. That's all.
Yeah.
And when you see that, you be like that, you know?
Yeah. It means that anybody can be affected by, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. You know? Don't rule out because the fact that you see a light-skinned girl, oh, she must have had it good all her life. You know what I'm saying? Don't put that in your head, because you don't know what type of neighborhood that person came from. You know what I'm saying? Don't see a dark-skinned girl and just assume like, oh, well, you know, she probably got mistreated. She probably was in an area where it was majority of dark-skinned people and she didn't have any issues. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you can't look at a guy and assume that he's never dealt with that type of discrimination either, you know. And you can't look at white people and think that they don't deal with it, because they do when they have to deal with the blonde hair and the blue eyes. You know what I'm saying? We all have to deal with prejudices, but we all have to actually start working on these prejudices. But at the end of the day, there's levels to this, and maybe if it starts with like the lowest level where everybody is dumping the trash down to fix everything else up there. You know what I'm saying? And that's in predominantly the Black community. So
Yeah. That's a hashtag. Stop the mental hoarding.
Stop the mental hoarding. I love that.
Write that down. I like that.
All right. Well, I know that we are wrapping it up. So I already have what I want to talk about next week, and I'm not even going to tell you all, okay? I'm just going to let it be a complete surprise.
Yes.
I have it written down on my sticky notes. I wanted to talk about it today, but I understood the importance of this conversation, and this conversation needs to be had. And it is a gateway to what I want to talk about next week. So thank you so much for spending time with us, as always.
See y'all next time.